Greetings all! Today, we'll be examining the relatively rare grass-type Pokemon Cacnea, the Cactus Pokémon, and its rare grass-dark-type evolution Cacturne, the Scarecrow Pokémon. While they might not look that different from other cactuses when they are hiding, the members of the Cacnea family are intriguing plants that can more than use their sharp thorns to deliver brutal attacks to anything that dares to disturb them or walk past them when they are hungry. Cacnea possess round, central bodies with light green flesh and a series of large, diamond-shaped markings on their body, as well as two pairs of small thorns on their upper side and a pair on their lower side, the latter being quite large and utilized as feet for the creatures. They have a pair of small, rounded arms with 4 thorns surrounding their ends, and their head is adorned with a large yellow flower that only blooms once a year or when they are in an environment that is wetter than their usual habitat. Their face is usually hidden from sight, but reveals itself in the form of a series of large, stoma-like openings near their front that look like a mouth and operate very much like one, with a pair of holes above them where their black photoreceptors are hidden. Their evolved form, Cacturne, possess much more humanoid body forms, with distinguishable arms, legs, torso, and neck covered in a series of thorns in straight lines across their frame. Their head is now adorned with a large, green, pyramid-shaped cap with sepal extensions that hides the flower on their head that almost never blooms. And while their face has remained mostly unchanged, their photoreceptors have turned a golden yellow color, gleaming brightly in the darkness of night when exposed. The members of the Cacnea family, along with Maractus, are unique in being the only plant-based Pokemon that naturally live exclusively in desert environments, and their body forms have adapted perfectly to the arid conditions of these habitats to survive quite readily. For one thing, like most cactuses, these creatures have thick, rubbery skin that is perfect for storing water, to the point where they can go up to 30 days without needing more water in their systems, as their stomata only open during certain parts of the day and therefore help to minimize water loss by evaporation. Since these stomata also include their eyes and mouth, their bodies are mostly hidden most of the day, looking like regular cactuses to the untrained eye. However, when they need to hunt or move, they are more than capable of doing so, using their bodies to slowly totter through the sand in pursuit of a potential meal or to escape the few desert-dwelling Pokemon known to be willing to confront them. This list is quite short though, as these creatures are covered in sharp thorns that are quite thick and hard and can easily cut through soft flesh when hammered hard enough, leaving opponents with grievous wounds that they may succumb to if not treated immediately. Since their bodies have to conserve as much moisture as possible, these creatures will further only open the flower on their body during certain parts of the year. While Cacnea will usually only open the flower for a few days once per year, usually after the rainy season, to make the most of the water they have absorbed and the life attracted by the rain, in the case of Cacturne, they will only open it for pollination about an hour for every year, due in part to the limited amount of water they store in their bodies as a deterrent against possible predators. Since these creatures have adapted to life in the absence of water and are capable of withstanding the worst of desert storms, they both normally have access to the Sand Veil ability as their primary ability, while their capacity to readily absorb and retain water in their bodies further grants them access to the water absorbability as a hidden ability. As far as their stats go, in the case of Cacturne, their relatively soft bodies offer them little in the way of serious defense and stamina, and because their bodies are built for water and energy conservation above all else, their movement speeds are quite low, resulting in most of their base stats being below average for a fully evolved Pokemon of their types. However, their thorny bodies and access to powerful energy-based attacks makes them surprisingly strong on offense, equally possessing above-average based attack and special attack stats for a fully evolved grass and dark-type Pokemon. As such, while they might not be able to take a hit so easily, these creatures can definitely dish out some punishment, and more than make the lives of anything that gets in their way painful and miserable. Cacnea are fairly simple creatures for the most part, that move very little in order to disguise themselves and keep them hidden from threats. But this works equally as well on the opposite end, as these creatures mainly rely on the vital fluids of others to survive. They do this by closing the stomata that make up their face and opening their flower, releasing a fragrant odor that is designed to attract birds with the promise of fruit or seeds of some sort. Generally, their flower will look more vibrant and smell sweeter and more delicious the harsher their environment is and the more they need water, as they become more desperate to attract potential prey items. When they can sense a potential prey bird approaching them, these creatures will suddenly spring out of hiding and attack by firing thorns from their bodies in a makeshift poison sting attack. If they can successfully knock the prey out of the air, they will then run up and use their thorny arms to bludgeon the prey item and finish the job, draining their vital fluids afterwards. While this style of hunting might seem a bit extreme, Cacnea are thankfully quite friendly towards people and Pokemon that they get to know, and can make good partners for trainers looking to add a unique grass type to the team, even if evolution might radically change their personality to some extent, and produce a far more terrifying creature as a result. When Cacnea evolve into Cacturne, their demeanor turns incredibly vicious, and they gain not only an extra EV point yield in attack to give them 1 in attack and 1 in special attack, and the power to use their entire thorn-covered bodies as a powerful defensive deterrent in the form of a spiky shield technique, but, more importantly, their shift in personality comes with an advanced capacity to utilize anti-positive energy, effectively making them partial dark types. Unlike Cacnea, Cacturne do not have much water in them. As an adaptation and defense against larger bird Pokemon that Cacnea are too weak to take down on their own, over the course of thousands of years, these creatures have adapted to desert life so much that most of the water in their body has dried up into a sandy powder that fills their bodies, with only about 5% of their internal form containing water, thus making them fairly inedible. To compensate for this, these creatures will almost always remain motionless during the hot day, only swiping at those that get too close to them or try and attack them. At night though, when the temperatures are much cooler, they roam around in search of a potential prey item. This might not seem so bad, but it is often doom for travelers that are passing through their territory. While remaining motionless in day, oftentimes in groups, these creatures will wait until something passes them by. If the creature in question looks quite healthy, they will leave it be. But if the creature looks exhausted, when night falls, Cacturne will do their best to follow the trail of the potential prey item, and when they find it, while it is sleeping, they will use their needle arm attack to bludgeon them to death and absorb their vital fluids, blood included, equally sharing it among multiple Cacturne before returning to their original position and waiting for something else to cross their path. This, coupled with the revenge attack they can use after evolution as a consequence of them readily counterattacking anything that strikes them in the daytime when they are vulnerable, can make these cactuses a dangerous threat in the wild, and most certainly something whose iconic flower bulb cap is to be looked out for and noted, as no other type of cactus has the unique headpiece and thus may be the only identifying marker keeping you safe and prepared for their potential attacks in the dead of night. While they certainly might not look like the most conventional of grass-type Pokemon, the members of the Cacnea family are still powerful creatures that can more than make an impact in battle if they are underestimated. They might not have the best of defenses or be very fast, but when it comes to brutally beating down the opposition, these plants can do the job equally well from afar and up close, and ultimately prove to be a literal thorn in the side of opponents that can't outlast them. Just do yourself a favor and, if you are traveling out where these creatures roam, pay close attention to your surroundings and try not to look too tired and worn out. Cacnea might not bother you that much, but if you pass by some Cacturne and don't pay attention to them as night falls, you may find yourself in the midst of a rude awakening that you may be lucky to survive, even if you scream for help in the darkness of night. Thank you all for watching this video. It is always an honor to be able to speak with you all on the subject of Pokemon in a way that brings me great joy and happiness in my work. If you would like to keep tabs on past and future work, click that subscribe button, check out my work on DeviantArt, and don't be shy about following me on Twitter, where you can find pertinent announcements on upcoming work before it is officially posted. Links to both can be found in the video description. If you would like to support my work and help Miguel and I continue to produce more content for you and improve upon our presentation, please visit us at my Patreon page, which you can also find a link to in the video description.
Yeah, no.
With that, I thank you for watching and I wish you well.